If I said to you Spicks and Specks, Full Frontal, and Hamish and Andy, what do you think would be the common thread? The answer in just a moment. Producer, writer, quiz show, everything, Anthony Watt. Welcome and thanks.
Thanks, John. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you. We've known each other, how long do you reckon?
You were at my first audition for TV.
Really?
You shot it. Yeah. So I would have been at 25. So what's that, 92?
Yeah.
You're my age. I know that. You're my age. I thought you were much older because you were the director. And I was just a
because I
uni
look
kid.
older.
No, because you talk like a grown-up. You've always talked like a grown-up. We were doing a little bit uni review when John Kinder and Mark Gracie and someone else had tried to get the next review comedy bits people through. So we turned up to do an audition for a Tonight Show, just doing some sketches that we'd written.
Right. This would be on the tail end of Tonight Live in 92.
It was, yeah. It would have been in the studio. It was on the set. We shot the set. And we were, the pilot fell through that we were working on. It was a David Rain hosted thing that we would have been the sketch troupe for. It sounds horrendous. Anything that has a sketch troupe is always horrendous. But, we were young, we were ambitious, so we did it.
Well, I think you've somewhat proven yourself since. Am I right that your first actual gig in TV was writing questions for Double Dare for your brother Simon and
that is it.
Jerry Song?
That is it. It wasn't the Jerry Song series. It was a series after that, the curly head guy. I was writing questions and then I operated the score. So I was, I just pressed the score button. So I was like early game engine operator.
But you'd write the questions as well, so you knew.
I did. But my first day, I noticed an error. They'd gone to the wrong person. But I was just like too shy to speak up. And I just said, Simon, I think they've got it wrong. Like, why should I know that they've got it wrong? It's my first day.
We're concentrating on a million different things, as you now know, and it can happen. There's so many aspects to your career, and we may not even touch a lot on. Anthony is currently the guru of quiz shows, along with his wife, Astrid.
No, I'm not a guru. I just get a lot of work because I tell everyone I'm good. I say, I'm good at this.
Well, that's what I'm doing wrong. Let's start with the children's shows. Some are Cuckoo Harajuku.
Oh, yeah. Cuckoo Harajuku. Yeah, what else have you got?
The Skinner Boys, Guardians of the Lost Secrets.
Oh, I got sacked from that. That's all right.
Get Ace.
Get Ace was great. Great fun. Great show.
Snake Tales.
Down Drains was my favourite, as was Little Horrors, which is a puppet show. They were both terrific to work on.
And what made them terrific to work on?
They were funny. They let us be funny. So I got that job because I worked on Full Frontal, as you did. I was a writer. And then it failed. Like it got axed after, 5 years. It did pretty well.
Yeah.
And then I needed a job. And so I worked on a couple of things and met Peter Hetworth, who was a great story producer. And he said, sometimes kid shows need, funny writers. And so myself and Brendan Luno, who was my co-writer for a lot of sketches.
And also for a great deal of your children's shows.
Yeah, so we used to write them together and separately as well, but it was more fun. I like collaborating, I'm a collaborator. So we wrote a lot of stuff together and separately. So that was just basic survival. I'd just got married or just bought a flat and then Full Frontal ended. It's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So we just got these jobs, as many jobs as we could writing. It wasn't, like I'm not a natural kind of kids show writer, but I did like writing funny. So we just try to write as funny as possible.
And do you think your shows worked the way the best kids shows work, which is on two levels? There's the adult level and the kids level?
I'd hope so, but I think the best jokes work for both. Like we didn't write any innuendos or anything that only the adults would get. But we wrote sophisticated jokes. We write kind of Python-style jokes.
Right.
I don't think we did that two-level thing. But we just try to make it funny, make ourselves laugh, really.
Well, that's interesting that, you don't believe you need the 2 levels, which is a great insight, really.
But I didn't even think about it. We just wrote things that made us laugh. But when I worked with Brendan, it was great because he would do all the typing and I'd be the guy that sat back and just went, what about this idea? So it's like Graham Chapman from Python just yelling out mongoose slightly and just and then just going off on a tangent. That was always good. But then I'd have to write it myself some days.
Right.
And then I'd have to deal with writer's block. That was awful. I'd get writer's block sometimes. Like you got two weeks to write a script and I would only write it in the last 2 days.
Apart from the sheer panic, what gave you the inspiration to actually come up with something?
I had the ideas. I just couldn't get the start. Where do you start when you want to get to the idea? Like what scene and you throw it around. And I knew the way to do it was just really just write anything. Just write anything to get you there and just start typing. So what I would do, I'd take my computer to a cafe and sit with the laptop open so people could see behind me. And so you can't then look at the news or fake it. You had to be writing, otherwise you were not just a wanker that writes a screenplay in a cafe, but a writer that's got writer's block at a cafe. And then once I was rolling, the ideas would flow. It was fine.
Was it stream of consciousness with the idea in place?
You basically you had the plot. They gave you the plot. You'd already worked that out in a phone meeting, and you had to sort of structure each scene to get that plot in. So sometimes you'd write a couple of scenes and then you just get, oh, this is good. And then you go back and delete the first 2 scenes.
And you're given restrictions like X number of location sets, X number of studio sets, X number of actors.
Oh, yeah. Actors was fine because they could multi-role, but characters were different. And yeah, they didn't want to draw a whole set just for me.
Specifically, Stains Down Drains and Little Horrors you loved.
It's the story producer I really liked, had a good sense of humour. So that was Peter Hentworth for that one and David Witt for Stains Down Drains. And they just liked funny things. Like, so, I got to do my greatest fantasy. So there was, Stains Down Drains had a villain. I had a traditional old villain. And we had one of those things where they've got those Rube Goldberg devices to kill someone. Like, oh, we've got you strapped in. I'm going to, that candle's going to burn down and burn through that rope and drop that bowling ball. And it goes down around, like do one of those.
Old style James Bond.
Yeah. But it ended with, and this drops a hand that taps me on the shoulder that reminds me to shoot you. So it's just the absolute piss out of that genre. And they were allowing us to do it.
Fantastic. Well, you speak about shooting. Were there any restrictions in those times?
Maybe. I kept putting in words that I wanted to put in that they cut out. Like, I wanted the kids to say no wuckers because kids were saying no wuckers. But that means no fucking worries. Yeah, but it's wuckers.
It's what kids say.
But no, I wasn't allowed to do that. It basically saved my skin, that job, because I had to take that on when Spicks was on. When I started doing Spicks and Specks. Right. We shot that in, we shot 40 episodes in 20 weeks.
Yes.
Had another 10 weeks to edit it. I would then have 20 weeks where I wasn't employed. I was on ABC wage for 30 episodes, but I had 20 weeks with zero money coming in.
Yes.
And it was still on air. So no one would employ me. It was the most successful show on TV at the time. And I couldn't get another job because I wanted to keep coming back and doing that. And there wasn't the days of, an EP coming in for 6 weeks and doing it's a bit different now.
Yes.
So I had to just bulk up these kid shows. So when we got to the end of Spicks, I would go, what have we got coming up? Brendan would always help me out because he was doing more of them. But then they would get delayed. So I'd come September, I'd say, oh, no, we're another month down. And then come November, I had 5 episodes to do for different series. It was just about making a living. There were things I didn't want to do. This was what I liked doing. I liked doing kids animation. It was funny.
Yeah.
But it was about trying to survive. I had 2 kids. I had, at that point, then a third. I was sole breadwinner, and you do what you can. This is the reality of TV. You have to diversify. That's why I've got such a weird career. I've diversified.
That's what I would classify as the most important thing, having multi-skills.
Yeah, it's true. Really true. But I won't do reality. I've never done a reality show. I couldn't do it. Could not do it.
And why?
I want to get out of bed in the morning to do a job.
So it's a moral thing?
No, it's not moral. It's just I wouldn't enjoy the work. I've done shows that haven't worked out that well, but at least I've cared about them.
Yes.
I've cared to do something different. Sometimes that care is stripped away through the process, and then you find it hard to get out of bed in the morning. But I'm not going to sign up to a show that I have no interest in, and it's not my skill set. I'm a creative producer. I'm very rare that I'm a creative executive producer or series. I don't want to do things where I don't have creative input. I just get put.
So just to finish on the kids shows then, what are the restrictions and freedoms that the kids shows afford you?
Work at home. I have deadlines, which is a restriction, but it's a good restriction to have because otherwise I wouldn't get it done. I like working within restrictions for comedy.
Yes.
If you've got to restrict your idea, if you've got the world to choose from for a joke, you'll never come up with one. But if you've got a world that you've been told, and these characters, and you can't say this, and it's got to get to this, that's good. It's a good way to force yourself to be creative within a structure.
Well, you mentioned the no wuckers, I guess, is the sort of restrictions that you endure.
Yeah, but it's easy to replace.
Yes.
No worries. It's fine.
Your storied career has a lot of writing, like the kid shows in it. So we're just going to talk specifically about writing for a little while. You've got shows like Full Frontal, Get a Life, Something Stupid, The Late Report, Sit Down, Shut Up, Comedy Inc., Quads, Stingers, which we have to talk about, Hamish and Andy with I'm Spartacus, which we have to talk about, Sleuth 101, which we have to talk about. So let's talk, say, Stingers. What did you do on that?
That was, again, in a period where I wasn't working, just had a kid, so I was working at home. I met someone on Stingers when I was doing Little Horrors. He was a great guy, really, really fun script editor, but he worked in, cop shows. And I really wanted to get into cop shows because I like mysteries. I wrote a spec script. I had time, so I wrote a spec script.
Of Stingers.
Of Stingers, yeah. That spec script, I thought was brilliant. Like, it was like nothing else. It would never appear on Stingers, and I knew it. But it was basically the undercover cops were being interviewed for corruption, and they were each telling their own version of a story, of a case.
Got it.
That had gone wrong, and there was the internal affairs cop investigating them. And they were telling this story. It looked like, it would move from one being corrupt to the other one being corrupt, and you wouldn't know.
Yes.
And in the end, it turns out that Peter Phelps was the corrupt character. And the investigator comes to tell him, but he tries to get a bribe out of him. And then this police swarm in, and they arrest the internal affairs cop. And the whole thing was a big sting.
Wow.
So it was twist after twist after twist.
Rug pull.
It was a really good story. Like, I was really happy with the story, and I wrote it in that way because it was a big idea. I was able to write dialogue within it and it made sense. And all the characters worked and all of that. But of course, they looked at it and said, yeah, well, you can write dialogue, but this is not a story we would do. Okay, fair enough. I'll save that one for my own book or movie or whatever. And so I got the job and sat in on the meeting, and it was about making drugs. And this cop from Queensland came down. We sat in the story meeting, and I had some input. They liked my input. And then I went away and wrote it. And, I have these rules, and I don't like cop shows that start slowly. I wanted to start with one of the characters being thrown up against a wall and action. And then you see this guest cop appear as one of the criminals, but it turns out he's the undercover cop. So it was like a bit of action and a twist in the first scene.
Yep.
This guy has an affair with one of the girls in it, and I wrote it so she was the I didn't want her to be the victim of him flirting. I wanted her to want him. So I wrote it like that a little bit. And yeah, and I had a couple of funny scenes, a couple of comedy scenes as well. I wrote the story out. It just was a big hodgepodge of things. It really wasn't a Stingers episode. And they hated it. Except for the 2 comedy scenes, they absolutely hated it. Like,
how's that expressed to you?
I just said, this is terrible.
No sugarcoating.
This is terrible. Yeah. So I went, oh, okay. So I did my best to fix it up. I liked the character. I had a pizza shop owner who was Chinese, whose name was Magda. Like, it was just, that was the bit they liked.
Yes.
Like, just playing with, you'd never do that stuff these days because the world's changed. But that was the thing they liked. They hated the fact that I made her the sexual aggressor. They hated it. Hated it. It's not Channel 9. But, okay, I understand. You know, I wanted to push things, you know, but I didn't want to push things. And so I rewrote it. I still hated it. Like, I couldn't write the scenes they wanted to. I just wasn't able to. I really couldn't. At some point in your career, you're always asked to compromise. You go, do you want to do something in a different way? When I started on Full Frontal, I was a university kid and I wrote weird sketches. They didn't go down well. So I had to learn to write Full Frontal sketches, which is a little bit more commercial, but still of value, I thought. So I changed the way I wrote. After that, I couldn't write a university sketch to save me after that. I could only write commercial TV sketches. So for Stingers, I had to do the same thing. Really change the way I think and write drama. And then I chose not to. Because I didn't want to. It was possibly beyond me. I would have had to completely change the way I think about story and all of this sort of stuff. So I handed in what I could. I gave you a call saying, we're going to rewrite this completely.
Right.
Do you still want your name on the credit? And I said, yeah, I still do. Kind of why I did it.
We're talking about it now.
It was really disappointing that I couldn't do it. And it was disappointing that they couldn't come closer to what I liked. But when I wrote what they liked, it was much worse than my first draft. And nowhere near as good as my Specks script. But when I watched the show back, you know, the beginning was, they're all sitting at a cafe. Oh, we've got a guy from Queensland coming down. Oh, where is he? He's coming now. Hi. And it was just no action to start with. It just wasn't what I liked, but they liked it. The people that write on it are very, very good at it. Very good. And the way they construct stories is really, really good. Really clever people. Tremendously clever. I just can't do it because it's not me.
We have different skill sets.
Yeah. But I wish I'd got the chance to write that Specks script.
There are a host of people that we both admire who can cross over genres. People like Matt Cameron can write fantastic comedy and he can write brilliant drama. You know, and
I don't know how he does it. I think his drama is better than the cop shows.
Well, can I ask you this, because I'll be asking dramatic performers this as well. What is your feeling on comedy versus drama? Do you feel that comedy is looked down upon by drama people?
I don't know. In Australia, you can look down on comedy because a lot of comedy is not very good. But you can also, comedy people can look down on drama because a lot of drama is not very good. And it's economies of scale. We don't have enough people. We don't have the right training. You know, they can never get the right group of people in at the same time to make a great show. And when it happens, when those right people are together, the audience don't like it. Remember that show with, I think it was Justine Clark that Matt Saville directed. It was a half-hour hospital show.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a brilliant, brilliant show. Like, it was unlike anything else. It was so original and it looked perfect Matt Saville stuff, like moving camera, very gritty. And she was fantastic in it. And it was just good. It was just a good, good show. It would sit up with the best American hospital shows. And no one watched it. No one liked it because it didn't have all those things that Australian audiences are used to. It was too different.
Well, it's almost a criteria now that you do have to have international pre-sales.
Yeah, all that streaming stuff, I don't understand that world. I don't get it. I don't have to. I'm too old.
One of the things you wrote on was Something Stupid, along with Big Girl's Blouse, a precursor to Kath and Kim.
Yeah. So I didn't do Big Girls, but I did the next one that Marg was in as well. So I got to work along. I've never worked with those women before, and it was fabulous to do, just to sit and see them all work. It was just great. Just see how funny they are, how they make, like Gina, the hardest working person I've ever worked with, just would sit down and work and work and work at something. Saying crazy ideas. She had the most left wing of ideas. Magda would just introduce these characters, invent these characters all the time. And working with Marg was fantastic for me because I used to write lines and she would say them to me and go, "That's great." And she would just make everything brilliant. Okay, she would turn your words into.
Isn't it great when you find that performer who just elevates anything you write?
Yeah, I got to write speeches for Magda, and I've written jokes for her on Weekend's Link, and she is the same. I will give her a lame joke to say, like I'll button on into the ear, and she will repeat it back to me, and get a huge laugh. It was a lame joke, but she just has funny bones, just funny bones. And it was just fantastic to hear. I loved it.
Indeed. So the process for you on that, did they come to you with characters they want to do or scripts they want to do?
We all sat in a room together every day. We'd go in, and sometimes it had characters. Sometimes we'd pitch ideas. I had an idea for a current affairs sketch about someone who got duped, and then I thought Marg would be good, and so I sat and wrote that with her. One of the best sketches I've ever written. They had a running thing called the Punch Institute, which is like
the Pons Institute.
Like the Pons Institute, but done like an American soap. But everyone's overly dramatic. And Brendan and I wrote all of those, which was just heaps of fun. Yeah, so that's how they work. But sometimes they come up, "Could you help us?" I'd sit with a few. I think I wrote one musical parody with Gina. And that's Gina Riley writing a musical parody. I used to write a lot of musical parodies before Frontal. Yeah, this is great.
I worked with Gina at the height of music videos in Fast Forward. Yeah. And she'd come up with the goods and more every week.
She's so good at it, so good. But I loved all those four. Those four are wonderful people and are really good at what they do.
They certainly are. What does it feel like when a show that you're really heavily involved in gets axed?
It's heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking. When you really love it, it breaks your heart and it knocks you out. And that's because you care. You really like. I've not been able to get out of bed for weeks after doing a show that got crushed by by ratings and all of that.
Yes, and sometimes you get so invested in it that you do experience rose-coloured glasses.
So the main things that for me were heartbreaking was the Spicks reboot, but before that, Sleuth 101. They were the two shows that I really cared about.
And we will talk about that very soon. But I mean, I wasn't intending to touch on axing as such, but for both of us, it's such a personal and crushing thing sometimes.
Yeah. The ones, that Late Report, Big News, Late Report was hard, but that got murdered along the way. So I was very happy when it was axed. Sometimes it's a relief when things are axed. Sometimes something is not good and it's not working. And sometimes it's partly your own fault, but partly the fault of the people above you. I never blame the people below me. It's usually the people above me.
Yes. And virtually every time it's out of your hands because it is the people above you.
Yeah, and you tell them this is going to happen. This is what's going to happen if you do this. You become really quite knowledgeable when you see a show just dying in front of you and you go, you're going to destroy this show with this. You really are. It's going to, and then it does. It doesn't work. And you go, yeah, I know, but no one likes to hear I told you so. You try to work within it. You try to keep making it. But in the end, it's exhausting. And when they say, well, I'm sorry, the show's got axed, you go, thank God.
We'll talk further about it, particularly with Hamish and Andy, which we both worked on. But, that was a case of what is, in fact, a running joke, which is the ratings aren't good. We're asking the higher-ups, are we okay? Yeah, everything's fine. And then a couple of days later, it's axed.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't a surprise. And it was half a good show. It was half a really good show. They were fantastic. And I kept trying to put them in more and more. Like the joke was, that show had Hamish and Andy in it. It had Chris Lilly. It had you and me doing it,
Yep.
Hamish and Andy went on to be hugely successful. Chris Lilly had a hugely successful career after that. And you and I went on and did Spicks and Specks and various other things. And that went really, really well. What's upsetting about the Hamish and Andy experience for me is that Channel 7 tried to write out history that they blamed us as producers for doing it right badly.
Let's talk about that then. We're inevitably going to go out of order anyway. So you had I'm Spartacus producing that show. The evolution, how did it happen?
We're working on Comedy Inc. There's a whole bunch of writers. Guy Rundle had this ambitious idea of starting an artist collectives and writers collectives where we could actually control what we make and produce what we make. And I was completely on board with that. Comedy Inc. was going to come back, and then it got delayed. It got delayed by, 2 or 3 months. It was a really successful show, Comedy Inc. We were rating 1.1 million,
Yes.
And we were kind of beating Blue Heelers. It was just odd. It was really odd. And then they brought it back as a late shift, different show. So I don't know why they didn't want it straight away. It was actually working okay. But during that hiatus, Guy had meetings with Channel 7 and we formed this company and left Cracker Jack, which upset them quite a lot, I think. So it wasn't a great move politically.
And so who was in this company, the collective?
It was me, Guy Rundle, Sean Dooley, Ray Matson, Jason Marion, and Rob Caldwell.
Right.
And they just wanted us to produce a Tonight Show with sketches in it. Tonight Show with a sketch comedy troupe, that worst idea of all time. They had the big buy-up cast already signed, who were terrific, but didn't really match Hamish and Andy, who we saw on. Jason pointed them out. They were on radio, Channel 31.
So Jason and basically I'm Spartacus discovered Hamish and Andy from the radio and from Channel 31?
It was from Channel 31, yeah. We just saw their sketches and Hamish and Andy were just terrific. And it wasn't discovering them, they discovered themselves. They would have got there anyway.
Oh, well, we knew when we were doing it how brilliant they were.
Yeah, we pitched them to Seven. And Tim Warner came in, who wasn't the big boss then, but he was next below, and just loved them. Like, that one, I just loved them. It was a really good call. But of course, these guys didn't match the rest of the ensemble.
Yes.
The ones that are into improv and all that sort of thing. These guys, they were just stars. They just had star quality, right? And so they really stood out compared to this team, and they didn't really gel.
Well, they didn't really do traditional sketch, did they? They did
no
personality-based stuff.
Yeah, so we took a bit of that stuff, and that was great. Like, I could have done the whole show with just them hosting and Ryan Shelton as well, doing stunts. And so, and we did a few good studio things. I liked our studio stuff better than the sketches we were doing. We found it really hard to write sketches that involved everybody. It didn't quite work as well, but we tried.
Absolutely. And a lot of people have forgotten about that show. What did we do? 6 or 7 episodes?
Yeah, six or 8. I can't remember, but we got a lot to add.
It was a wonderful experience. We got to know Hamish and Andy, and there were lots of great performers on them. We knew Chris Lilly, and Chris did Mr. G and all sorts of things on it. Extreme Darren.
Yeah, Extreme Darren was really funny too. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. Right. There was a lot of really good things in it. Really good.
Okay, so it went on. Did it go on after Blue Healers or in that time slot or something? There was something with the time
I
slot.
can't remember. I used to try and find out. We kept being delayed when we were going to go to air. It got pushed to 9:30, and they wanted on Wednesday night at 8:30, and we did a survey. We showed it in front of a whole. We went and did that screening.
Yes.
And me and Guy just turned up to it because we wanted to know what these screenings were like. And because Channel 7 would just read the results, and we sat in there and they go, "What night? Did they like it?" They loved it. They loved it. They loved Hamish and Andy. But they said, "What night do you want on air?" And they put up the Wednesday 8:30 slot. This is what we wanted as well. They said, "No, it's up against the Kumars. We love the Kumars. We don't want it against Kumars." And so that became that. All they got was why they didn't want it Wednesday at 8:30, because they didn't want to. They were watching the ABC at the time. So the entire everyone who was watching it were ABC viewers. The first shows we did weren't great, so I think they got scared and pushed it back.
And we did some bigger professional, not that it mattered, versions of some of the things they did on Channel 31.
Yeah, the stuff, the bananas at the supermarket.
Courtesy Wave.
Was the first one we did. Courtesy Wave, yeah. Yeah, that was all good. It was pretty much the radio karate sketches. But they had a good, they had a good producer in Tim as well.
Yes. That's Tim Bartley, yeah. Fantastic.
Stuff.
How was the demise explained to you?
No, it was just acts, we can't go on anymore. Advertisers won't put up with this kind of thing. Okay, that's fine.
And what happened to I'm Spartacus?
Well, we had an 11-month contract to be developing stuff. So we turned up every day and pitched ideas. We pitched 3 ideas a week to 7. Don't know if they read any of them. I pitched a comedy drama show called Father's Group about stay-at-home dads. They got really liked, and then a couple of years later, House Husbands happened. But
yes.
But yeah, we just threw ourselves in everything. We would do our job, and that was it. We then left. How did
that feel? Was it soul destroying to be pitching every week and knowing that they were unlikely to get up?
Not to me. I was getting paid. What was hilarious was our contract finished, and then what was that? Let Loose Live?
Let Loose Live, yes.
Yeah, that got up, and then we were hired as writers on that, all of us.
Right.
So we were back in the building after just losing our contract.
And I believe it went for 2 episodes?
I wasn't on it. I escaped. I turned up to a meeting of 30 people, and it was too many cooks. There was just too many cooks. No one was taking charge. There was too many ideas. It was a clash of 2 different types of performers. It was just that it looked like it was going to be chaos.
I wasn't involved in Let Loose Live, but it was billed as Australia's answer to Saturday Night Live.
Yeah. And so that got delayed as well. I was about to fill in the breach and go, you need a head writer on this. You need someone who can take charge.
Yes.
Who can, because Mark and Steve were just lovely guys. Mark Bruce and Steve Luby, lovely guys, but not able to control all the egos in the room. Because there were lots of egos.
And there's been lots of discussions on here about singular vision. It's very difficult when you have all those disparate views.
So I was happy to, I was talking to them about stepping into the breach and becoming the arsehole in charge. Not that I ever work as an arsehole, but, that person who just can go, I'm going to funnel everything. It'll be my taste. And then I got a phone call from Paul Clark at the ABC when that was in delay saying, I'm just thinking of doing a comedy panel show about music. Are you interested?
What was that show?
I can't remember. It lasted for, I don't know, only about 20 years.
Still going today.
Yeah, I jumped. I just jumped.
Coming up in part 2, Spicks and Specks is still a powerhouse. And you've been involved with it from the inception.
We didn't have much pre-production time. But once we got Adam Hills locked in, it was just a dream come true for me to playing that panel world for the ABC. I just looked at getting lots of questions and games that could initiate discussion.
In 2014, there was a short-lived reboot.
I thought it was too early. We auditioned a few people, and when we started, it was so hard for them to fill that void, replace those people.
Do you think that in this climate, things are cancelled too early without being given a chance?
Of course, but I don't understand the financial problems that networks have.
Sleuth 101. It's a little scene show, and it was a gem that deserved better. It was a sort of whodunit.
We had Cal Wilson, God rest his
Beautiful
soul.
Cal Wilson was host, amazing host.
We got some great guests in. Frankie J. Holden, he was a victim, got stabbed with an aria. I had people like on the crew just say, this is the best show I've ever done. This is going to be so good.
Great people with interesting stories. Please like and subscribe. And above all, listen and view. We'll see you soon.